General meeting for the town of Osoyoos, Monday, June 16th, 2014, 1 o'clock p.m. in council chambers. The first item up would be the message from the mayor, and I'll read that now. The format today will be messages given by the administration and by the directors of the various departments, also by council if they so desire. So we will make the presentation of the annual general report, and then there will be a question period open to both the citizens and the press. So I'll start off with the message from the mayor. I always look forward to presenting the annual report on behalf of council and staff. This is a great opportunity to report on the state of our town. This report provides the community with an update on progress made in relation to the performance of measures, accomplishments, and objectives that were set out for the 2013 fiscal year. Excuse me. This year's report chronicles the journey to meet the community needs that were identified in the business plan. Council and staff are proud of delivering these results in a very cost-efficient manner. This efficiency is reflected in the minimal budget increase, while at the same time planning for the community's future needs such as protective services. The many individual accomplishments will be reported by the department directors. Our investment in infrastructure and community service adds to the quality of life and overall wellness of our town. Council is also very proud of the contributions made by our citizens. Desert Park and the return of horse racing is a great example of volunteers adding to the social fabric of our community. There are many residents stepping forward to assist by joining advisory committees and community associations. Council really appreciates these opportunities to interact with the residents of Osoyoos, as one of our goals is to be collaborative, inclusive, and transparent. In achieving these goals, progress and success were defined in the following projects. Desert Park and the return of horse racing is a great example of volunteers again adding to our community. Planning continues on the development of the new fire hall to be located on the old Richter property. The Splash Park had a soft opening last August, and we just did our official grand opening in the last 2 weeks. The Cactus Card Jalopy was another incredible event for the town, bringing many outside visitors and guests to the town of Osoyoos. Council awarded $43,000 grant in aids to different community recipients to help out in areas that were deemed necessary. The Desert Live Music Festival Committee was formed to discuss a potential music festival for 2014 in Osoyoos, and as you are well aware, we are headed for a 4-day music extravaganza at Gyro Beach the last 4 days of June. The town worked with TELUS on fiber optic installation in the community. This was certainly not a partnership. It was the entrepreneurship of TELUS that came to town, but we did manage to get an agreement in which there was some funding available to local projects based on the number of people that signed up for the fiber optics. The town of Osoyoos received approximately $285,000 in resort municipality initiative funding. This included the completion of 2 public washrooms at Gyro Beach and Goodman Park. The administration delivered a budget with only a 1.83% tax increase, and of that amount, 1% was for future RCMP costs, and 0.83% was to offset increase in operating costs. There was the reconstruction of Cottonwood Drive. Storm sewer construction was completed on the laneway between 74th and 76th. Gala Crescent received a large pipe that was going to help with the storm water situation to minimize flooding. There was new street lighting on 115th Street to provide vehicular and pedestrian safety. This was at the bequest of the residents living in the area. Outland Design Landscape Architects was retained for future lakefront landscaping projects, and the staff oversaw the installation of 2 electric vehicle charging stations located in the Gyro Park parking lot. Council and staff are building on the successes of 2013 as we work on delivering the identified outcomes in the business plan and this year's budget. Our objective is to provide the utmost quality of services in a fiscally responsible manner. We will continue to be a progressive, vibrant community offering Canada's warmest welcome. Thank you. So going back to the agenda, we'll now move to the Chief Administrative Officer's report. Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. In 2013, our administrative and operational teams continued their commitment to overall success and excellence in the delivery of municipal services to Osoyoos residents and visitors. Part of this commitment was delivering services in a cost-effective and efficient manner, enabling municipal tax and utility rates that are the envy of other communities. I am happy to report that we achieved remarkable success on many of the initiatives identified in the 2013 business plan and illustrated adaptability to respond to the evolving priorities that challenged us during the course of the year. The business plan identifies projects on a 3-year basis and successfully functions as a staff and council reference and planning tool. The departmental reports provide an in-depth summary of the activities. However, I'd like to highlight some of our most notable achievements. First of all, in public facility accessibility. In response to the Social Planning and Research Council of BC Accessibility Audit, Council provided financial policy to allocate $20,000 per year to improve accessibility in public facilities. 2013 projects included crosswalk timers, power door installations, and general improvements to all public washrooms. Council's administration transparency. We continue to hold open meetings for budget development, released in-camera motions, and webcasting of committee of the whole meetings was added to the to our activities. Infrastructure construction, a sewer force main, treated effluent infiltration bed, Cottonwood Drive splash park, Gyro Park design, fire hall design, road condition assessments plan, and sewer capacity study were all projects in this particular area. Service efficiency, downtown parking and business survey was completed. Redesign of the website to promote some online service requests, community grant application, expanded information, and interactive maps. We also reunited economic development and tourism marketing through an agreement with Destination Osoyoos. Community services worked with TELUS on fiber optic installations. Additional public parking was secured for the summer. Assigned bylaw implementation, updated home occupation bylaw, and developed an RCMP reserve account. Challenges and opportunities for 2014 will include resort municipality fund expenditure on the development of Gyro Beach and completion of landscaping. Also, funding of the new fire hall, implementation of multi-material BC recycling program, recycled water distribution line construction, policy development on community water meter installation, completion of the splash park, community services master plan consultation, and implementing municipal elections and a new council orientation. My appreciation is extended to all staff and volunteers whose efforts made another successful year. I look forward to continuing to serve the Osoyoos community and implementing the direction of council. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Romanko. The next presentation will be Director of Corporate Services, Ms. Van Vianen, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells and Council. Corporate Services had a very busy and productive 2013, and some of the highlights include under land issues, the golf course lease was renewed. Some land acquisition work was begun for future use, which will be reported on further in 2014. Gyro Beach concession lease was awarded to Border Town Enterprises for a 5-year term. Osoyoos Water Sports was granted a 1-year license to use Gyro Beach for water sport activities. Three Phase Adventures Inc. was granted a 1-year license to use Cottonwood Beach for non-motorized water sport activities. New bylaws passed include foreshore and lake zoning, revenue anticipation borrowing, 2013 to 2017 financial plan, sewer connection, museum parcel tax, Osoyoos tax rates and permissive tax exemption. Under Transit, the Director of Corporate Services currently sits as a part of a focus group for the Transit Future Plan led by BC Transit to develop a 25-year plan for the entire South Okanagan. More information to come throughout 2014, and we've had some stakeholder meetings already this year. Human Resources, 3 student job postings and hirings for Public Works, 7 for Community Services were completed, 1 work experience student for Corporate Services obtained required hours. 2 short-term postings for medical leaves in both Corporate Services and Financial Services were completed, while maternity relief position was filled in Community Services, relief recreation facilities attendant posting, and work started on various HR policies for completion in 2014, which Council had at the last meeting. Under Emergency Management, the Director of Corporate Services and CIO attended a spring readiness session in Kelowna. Lake levels were monitored during the spring, and there was no significant flooding to properties. Emergency Support Services was deployed in August for a reception center due to evacuations from a wildfire in Kilpoola area. All residents were able to return home. ESS was called out twice in 2013 in support of victims of residential fires. Contracts that were monitored: Victim Services, by law enforcement, town janitorial, public washroom caretaker, and the BC Transit South Okanagan Transit Society. Other issues dealt with were the town was successful in obtaining a call permit from Canadian Wildlife Services for elimination of up to 10 adult Canadian geese per week in the areas of the golf course, Desert Park, and the airport. 7 Freedom of Information requests were dealt with. 5 legal insurance cases were dealt with. 2012 annual report was completed. Considerable time was put in by the Deputy Corporate Officer and Corporate Services Admin Support on the development of the new town website during the first 4 months of the year. General upkeep to the town's website continued through 2013. Webcasting of council meetings continued with a total of 975 individual viewers, an increase from 674 viewers in 2012. There were also 6,475 views of minutes, agendas, and council meeting content, including live streaming and on-demand video. Property insurers completed an update on appraised value of all town insured facilities. A new records management policy was implemented, and the e-filing system continues to be updated. A file audit was initiated to determine destruction dates and standardize system throughout the organization, and the vault was cleaned out and records not required to be stored in the vault were removed. Under bylaw enforcement, seasonal workers were not as much of a problem in 2013 as they were in 2012. Additional police patrols were made possible by $10,000 funding from the town, and additional bylaw enforcement patrols put into effect in the spring helped discourage nuisance behavior. Fewer expulsion letters were issued in 2013. The park attendant hours were also modified, which helped alleviate potential problems in the parks. Boat trailer parking lot issues were resolved with a new permit process through hotel-motel operators. Guests were issued permits for short periods, which resulted in more room available for tourists to park their boat trailers. Some interesting information is 187 complaints were registered at the town office in 2013. This is a significant reduction from 246 in 2012. 28 municipal tickets were issued. 115 warning tickets were issued. Unsightly property inspections were conducted on 66 properties. 46 animals were impounded, and that was 19 dogs and 27 cats. And park infractions, there were 2,444 in total, and they included 875 alcohol, 788 dogs, 669 smoking, 43 nuisance, 27 boat and swim area, 9 authorized selling, 22 traffic, 2 tightrope, and that's where they put them in the volleyball courts and we're doing tightrope, 7 inappropriate clothing, and 2 drive or park on grass. So that is my report. I would like to thank Corporate Services staff for all their hard work, and a special thanks to Laurie Scott, who compiled and prepared this year's annual report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Van Vianen. The next report would be from our Planning and Development and presented by the Director, Alain Cunningham.
Okay, good afternoon. The town's largest community planning project in 2013 was creating an innovative form-based zoning approach to assist implementing our Southeast Medlock Area Plan. This type of zoning, which uses development guidelines and illustrative diagrams in place of one-size-fits-all standards, is at the leading edge of BC planning practice and is especially noteworthy achievement for a small community like ours. Council approved 3 interlocking bylaws making up the approach. First, a 3-dimensional concept plan was attached to the OCP showing how the 40-acre Southeast Meadowlark area could be developed for up to 300 housing units. Second, an intensive residential development zone was added into our zoning bylaw, which will enable integrating together a wide mix of low-rise, medium-density housing types, including some affordable housing. And third, an IRD development permit area guidelines were added into our OCP to address the special challenges of mixing together diverse housing types located relatively close to each other. Under affordable housing itself, to advance the Council's policy, Council approved a strategy in 2013 ready for negotiating affordable housing financial incentives with a selected developer for the town-owned Richter property in Southeast Meadowlark. Agricultural plan late in 2011, an agricultural plan was jointly prepared for the town and the electoral area A of the regional district of Okanagan and Similkameen. Both parties recommenced their collaborative efforts in 2013 by reviewing possible improvements to our respective zoning bylaws on such issues as agritourism accommodation, farm retail outlets, secondary farm homes, greenhouses, and agricultural protection around the Northwest Sewer area. Under special projects, first fire hall. In 2013, the town's Fire Coordination Committee of Fire Department administrative representatives continued working closely with KMBR architects and planners to complete our fire hall pre-design. Included our floor space allocations and layouts, a site development plan, a 3D building concept, a green component, and Class C cost estimates with a probable accuracy of plus or minus 15%. Council accepted the pre-design as a basis for proceeding forward and approved retaining KMBR to prepare a final design in 2014 with cost estimates accurate to plus or minus 10%. The town retained Outland Design landscape architects to start a process of design, tendering, and construction management for the Gyro Park Multi-Purpose Plaza Improvement Project, which is one of the priorities identified in our successful 2012 Charette stakeholder planning process. The consultants also started on other landscaping projects required to finish off recently completed lakeside construction works in keeping with the town's overall waterfront master plan. Staff organized our Marina Grand opening as well as the installation of interpretive signage, the addition of wheelchair accessible hinge ramps to the interior boat launch, and entering into a 3-year lease contract with Osoyoos Marine for marina management. Staff oversaw installation of 2 charging stations in the Gyro Park parking lot with funding support from the Fraser Basin Council and subsidized operating costs through a federal grant. Following 2011 recommendations of the Lake Recreational Commercial Use Task Force, Council approved a water zoning bylaw in 2013, making Osoyoos one of the first local governments in BC to make use of this innovative tool for protecting our valuable but vulnerable lake resources. There are 4 zones respectively for public water use, private moorage, group strata moorage, and commercial moorage. Council approved an amendment to our land use procedures bylaw delegating broader authority to the director for approving most development permits, except those associated with rezonings, which still go to council. This business-friendly change has shortened approval time for applicants. To create administrative efficiencies, Council adopted a bylaw for the town to be served by a joint board of variance with electoral area A of the regional district. Staff prepared a zoning bylaw amendment giving Council discretion to approve or deny a medical marijuana grow operation as a site-specific permitted use in the M1 General Industrial Zone. Council approved this bylaw earlier this year. As part of the ongoing modernization of our zoning bylaw, Council also approved new conditional use regulations for home occupation businesses, which for the first time allow low-impact businesses in apartments, higher-impact businesses in accessory buildings of single-family homes, and 2 businesses on a single-family property if one of them is low-impact. Other changes will make for more consistent bylaw interpretation. Lastly, in terms of bylaw amendments or improvements, to lay the groundwork for modernizing the downtown parking requirements in our zoning bylaw, staff presented council with an inventory of existing downtown parking stalls and the results of surveying 111 downtown stakeholders for their input on current parking adequacy and any needed improvements. Moving to development control. In 2013, staff processed Kent McPherson's first ALR exclusion for the 22.4-acre Wish property on Highway 3, which they submitted on behalf of their client, Pembroke Estates, for the primary purpose of accommodating a large RV park. After a public information meeting, staff presented a report to council with options. Council resolved to recommend against this application to the Agricultural Land Commission. The applicant subsequently decided to withdraw their first application and to work on a new application with increased community benefits. Council adopted a zoning bylaw amendment adding a marina as a site-specific permitted use in the CD 5 zoning for Walnut Beach Resort. Council approved a commercial development permit for a complete facade upgrade of integrated community living on Main Street. The director approved 2 commercial DPs respectively for an annex building to the Sahara Court Inn, and in addition, and other improvements to the Cunningham restaurant. Council also approved a development variance permit for the latter to reduce their parking requirements. The director approved an industrial DP for a building addition to Westminster Rentals and a multi-family DP for 8 proposed strata townhomes at 4205 Oleander Drive. Under construction, 67 building permits were issued in 2013 for a value of $6.2 million. This was up from the 2012 totals of 62 permits and $44.4 million. 280 building inspections were made. The building inspector has taken over responsibility from a private contractor for fire inspections and provides inspection services to about 240 publicly accessible buildings. 8 sewer hookup inspections were completed for the Northwest Sewer. 42 follow-ups were made on complaints and bylaw infractions. Under our new sign bylaw, 17 sign permits were issued in 2013. 10 agreements were signed to remove prohibited rooftop and animated signs within a 3-year amortization period. 7 sign removal notices were successfully executed. Turning to business licensing, a total of 457 business licenses were issued for a value of $40,000. 32 business license inspections were completed following up on safety issues. And just a couple of other projects, the department filed a Climate Action Revenue Incentive Program report on reduced greenhouse gases under our corporate and community climate action plans. And we also completed a 20-year residential development infill appraisal of vacant and underutilized lands across the town, including their projected development rates and probabilities. This infill data has already been used for inputting the town's 2014 sewage capacity study and will also be used for updating our OCP next year. And ending on a personal note, we bid farewell to our plumbing technologist, Philip Armstrong, who took a position in Golden. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Director Cunningham. The next department would be Operational Services, presentation by Mr. Ron Doucette. Director, please.
Am I okay here? You got my good side? All right, yes. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for this opportunity. Operational Services / Public Works, once again, has been very busy. Not only taking part in a lot of these capital projects that I will outline in a little bit. Some will be repeating, but that's okay as well. But taking care of the everyday infrastructure. That is our key and our goal, to maintain and repair and make sure that everything out there is working the way it should. So again, I tip my hat to Mikey Thomas and his team for a job well done. The Dirty Dozen, they do a lot of work for a small crew for the new infrastructure that we've had in the last few years. So good job, boys and girls. This year, we did, you can see the reconstruction of Cottonwood Drive, which really sort of spruced up that area. And also we extended the storm onto Maple, so to get rid of that large puddle that formed every time there's a rain. Sticking with storm sewers, we also did some work in the laneway between 74th and 76th, from 85th to 87th. That protected the businesses as well as the residents in that area, and also reduced the water from getting to the lower end of 74th and 72nd on 85th. That sort of helped slow down the water from getting to there. Gala Crescent again, storm sewer. I guess they figured it doesn't rain in Osoyoos, but I'm telling you, when it does, we had problems. So now we have a large pipe at the end of Gala that goes directly into the lake. That came from a previous easement and a new easement that we dealt with, and now, like I say, it's a nice safety factor that we have for the people from Gala Crescent. Also this year we had an upgrade to our road assessment plan, where every road was assessed a number, and it was thoroughly looked at as far as the size, the importance of it, the road conditions, the storm, the lighting, the sidewalks, etc. And this will give us a good opportunity to present to council and prioritize and get our roads in a more structure replacement plan or overlay plan or whatever needs to be done. New lighting on 115th, that was also mentioned. It was a pretty dark area. Now these people from Casa del Sol and Desert Rose can be a little safer. As far as sewer is concerned, we extended our main line to Tamarack to 45th Street. That's the new concession going towards Incaneep. We extended our reclaimed water. This is to the south of Desert Park. This sort of gives us an opportunity to have better control in the event that our ponds are a little high. So that was a blessing in disguise for us. It made us the boys sleep a little easier, especially in the spring. We spent some. We did some motor controls on a couple of our lift stations. We had some issues at the border lift. It seems to have solved that one, and Keep also in the northwest. And we continue on. We're going to continue on with hoping to reduce all odors around town. Part of the northwest is purchase of another portable generator in the event of a power outage. Our crew can go out and pump out these lift stations so that nobody backs up. One important factor that we did this year is a new force main right from our lift station all the way to the to our treatment plant. Well, not quite to the treatment plant, but to the bigger pipe in the area. And that really allowed our pumps at the main lift to run way more efficiently and provide way more flow than we've ever had. So that was a big plus for us. We also had a sewer capacity study. Mr. Romanko was more involved in that than I was to a certain extent, so he might have more details on that. But I think the bottom line is what we've done in the past worked out, and then we're looking pretty good for the future. Other little things, the final cover for phase 1 at the landfill was completed. The Y property, we've got contracted to come in and try to clean some of those weed, trees, and shrubs, and hopefully try to get that as nice as we can until we decide the final design for that whole area. Equipment-wise, we just purchased a riding mower that replaced one of our 20-year-old tractors and gang mowers. Bit the biscuit, like some of us too. I guess it's time to go. Water-wise, part of the sewer, we also extended the water line to 45th at the same time as we did the sewer line. Computers, as you know, I guess computers, you buy one today and it's out of sync tomorrow. However, we've done a lot of work on our system, both the like water, sewer, and well, both waters, irrigation in town, and also the sewer. So we're getting a lot more important information, and also we're able to generate reports from this new system. So other than that, I'd like to thank my colleagues for the fun we had and the work we do, and like I say, also council for your support, and everybody out there, like taxpayers. Like I say, I think most of them appreciate what we do, and we'll continue to do so. So thank you very much, and Have a nice day.
Thanks, Director Doucette. Community Services.
Mayor,
Oh.
could I just add to Director
Okay.
Doucette's report?
Okay, yes.
Yes, an important part of our operational services is the contracting of our engineer services. And the administration feels it's important that the public obtain more information on our engineering services, as there has been calls for the development of our own engineering department. We've done some extensive research, and although it's not a total department, I guess where we'd have to start, if we were going to build our engineering department, we would have to start with a minimum of 4 positions, and the cost of that would be about $385,000, plus an operating cost of about $40,000 to $50,000. But even with those 4 positions, we don't even know if we could operate an engineering department, because it's relevant to note that engineers are restricted by their association to undertake designs that they have competency in. So if we were hiring 1 or 2 engineers, we'd be hard-pressed to find individuals with roadworks, sewer, water, storm, pumping station, reservoir, wastewater treatment design, as well as our current engineering services invoices often include subcontractors for engineering for structural, electrical, environmental, geotechnical, and materials testing. All our engineering departments would have to have similar costs for these consulting fees. And also, in addition to that, the Professional Engineering Association has a new program which is currently optional, but these optional programs become very mandatory after a while, requiring that documented be checked by qualified professionals of all engineering designs. So an engineer has to check the designs of another engineer. So you'd have to have at least 2 engineers on staff. So when one considers all that, actually first just some of our actual engineering costs, we've seen a decrease in that over the years, and a lot of our engineering costs are directly related not to town services but to what we've been doing beyond our borders. For example, in 2011 we had engineering costs of about $888,000. Only $350,000 of that was actually for services here in town. In 2012 was a very big construction year for us. Our total engineering costs were $965,000, of which only $551,000 were for town projects. Our most recent year in 2013, our total costs were $412,000, of which only $336,000 were for engineering costs. And when we talk about engineering costs, we run the gamut of our capital programs, what we do at our landfill, what we're doing for planning for our fire hall development. So there's a number of costs and projects that we're working on. So when one considers the following factors, we feel there is no valid foundation to establish our own engineering services department. And this is due to the following criteria. We have an annual variation of the quantity of projects, and our costs are directly related to how many projects we do. Our staffing costs versus contracting costs, when you start getting into keeping people on full-time service, your costs are always there. They're a given cost, and contractors only come in if we need them. The scope of our projects and a number of engineering competencies that meet our need. As I mentioned before, we're talking about 12 different engineering competencies that would have to be addressed through an engineering department. The hardware and annual software costs to develop and maintain a department. The availability. We have good availability of engineering services. And even if we did have our own department, we probably would still have to subcontract anyway. There are the liabilities. All our engineering is insured through our engineering insurance. And many large municipalities with their own engineering departments are still subcontracting projects. So we respectfully submit this to council and to the public that we hope that there's a broader understanding of what municipal services and engineering needs for this town are. I thank you very much.
Thanks for that, CAO Romanko, and this is addressing the question that comes up quite often is about the engineering costs, and people look at it in paper and see what it is in contracts, and they're coming forward and saying, well, why don't you have your own? And we have done some research into that, and Mr. Romanko just explained some of that rationale. You can't have work being done and employees coming on at the same time you're trying to control costs and numbers. And to that end, in Director Cunningham's report, he mentioned there was a downsize of one person in his department, and of course in 2014, that we're reporting on 2013 right now. So in 2014 there was a further downsizing in his department. So there's been 2 people that are no longer, those positions are no longer with the town. So you really can't have it both ways, and council is working very hard to provide the best of services in a fiscally responsible manner and paying attention to that bottom line, and that was the result of this report from Mr. Romanko. So I hope that helps the public. Next report would be community services, which would be basically we'd know that as the Sonora Center gang, and Director Gerald Davis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Community Services Department has been instrumental in the health and well-being of the Osoyoos residents. We have gone through a number of changes and have taken important steps in 2013 to realize our potential of being Canada's warmest welcome. We welcome the new addition to our staff, with our program supervising taking maternity leave, and we forged ahead with a new splash park. Here are highlights for 2013. In terms of administration, we completed an accessibility audit with SPARC, which is our Social Planning and Research Council of BC. We received numerous grant applications for the Community Service Grant Program, and Council awarded $43,000 to 13 different grant recipients. Staff attended the British Columbia Recreation and Parks Conference and the Recreation Facilities Association of BC Conference. Council approved the town's involvement to move forward with the Healthy Living Coalition program. We partnered with the Recreation Facility Association of BC to host an ice facility operators course at the Sun Bowl Arena. Staff developed 3 leisure guides throughout the year, which was completed in-house. We also work with McMullen and Company as part of our occupational health and safety program, and with his assistance we developed some working alone policies. Under our parks and trails, a trails map was developed with the assistance of True Engineering, which identified our new trails, parks, and dog swim areas, and signage was installed at the new Dividend Ridge Trail. With our facilities, we had a soft opening of the splash park on August the 1st. This was a major project for the town, and we want to thank all the sponsors and businesses who donated or assisted us in helping achieve this streamlined process. The annual shutdown at the Sun Bowl Arena was scheduled for May. This included the addition of a new dehumidifier. The Desert Park had a major water leak, and a restoration company was hired to complete the initial tear out, and we are now back in business again. Other significant items that were undertaken at the Sonora Community Center included new basketball backboards and an adaptive motion trainer, which was added to the fitness room. In terms of our programs and special events, in 2013 we administered 24 special event applications in the community, which included horse races at Desert Park, the secondary schools Storm the Wall, and Soysa Cup at Desert Park. The Slow Pitch League was organized. Beach volleyball continued at Gyro Beach. We organized activities for Pitch-In Week, which included the sale of composters in partnership with the RDOS. Other activities included our Tap by Tap program, an electronic toy recycling program, and the promotion of the Fortis Energy Diet program. We organized a volunteer appreciation event on Saturday, April 20th. We added approximately 6 memorial benches as part of our program in 2013 to our community. New gymnastic program was added in partnership with Fit Kid Gymnastics out of Penticton. Again, Cactus Car Jalopies was another incredible event for the town. Staff hired summer students and had a fantastic program throughout the summer months. We had an average attendance of 34 children per day, which was quite high compared to other years. Summer programming at the Sun Bowl included our BC Amateur Referees Camp, our Osoyoos Hockey Camp, a ringette camp celebrating now in its 26th year, Audrey Bakewell Power Skating Camp, and the Osoyoos Coyotes Identification Camp. Once again, staff developed a superb Halloween howl at the Sonora Community Center. I would just like to extend our kudos to our staff, to our council, and obviously our volunteers that help us throughout the year and made this year a great year. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Davis. Busy indeed. The next report, Financial Services, presented by Director Jim Zakall, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. The Finance Department's responsibilities and authority comes from legislation mandated by the Community Charter, provincial and federal statutes, and municipal bylaws. The Department's main goals are to provide excellent financial services to the citizens of Osoyoos, Town Council, staff, visitors, and external agencies, to provide sound and timely financial advice to Council and the administration to assist in making the best decisions on behalf of the citizens of Osoyoos, to safeguard the assets of the town of Osoyoos. The functions of the Finance Department are preparation and monitoring of the 5-year financial plan and the annual financial statements, preparing and interpreting interim financial statements, levying and collecting municipal taxes and utilities, processing accounts payable, receivables, and payroll, maintaining and updating cemetery records, developing and maintaining financial systems, borrowing and investing surplus and reserve funds. 2013 saw a 1.83% increase to municipal taxes. 1% of that went towards future RCMP funding. Only 0.83% of that increase was for increased operating costs. A $10 increase to garbage and recycling fees, a $7.13 increase to residential sewer fees, a $12 increase to water residential user fees. In our consolidated statement of operations, the excess revenue over expenditures was $1,807,043 in 2013. Our cash surplus from our general fund was $693,838.05. Our sewer fund had a cash surplus of $605,220.52, and our water fund had a cash surplus of $99,289.43. Under our development cost charges, our parks account had a balance of $769,706 at the end of the year. Roads had $688,009. Our sewer fund had $439,056. Water fund has $206,231. Under our tangible capital assets, our net book value of tangible capital assets has increased by $975,471 to a total of $50,943,886 in 2013. Under our reserves for future expenditures, under our general fund, we have a balance of $903,954. Our sewer fund, $521,499. Our water fund, $1,438,389. And our cemetery care fund, $75,422. At this time, I would like to thank Council, administration, town staff, and all of our numerous volunteers for a successful, hard-worked year in 2013, and I appreciate the cooperation and coordination between everybody that we've had.
Thanks, Director Zakall. It's very nice to be sitting on council, having Mr. Zakall there as Director of Finance. There's a certain comfort there, knowing that we're running this town in a very fiscally responsible manner. So thanks for the efforts in that whole department. The next report is the Fire Department. I don't see Fire Chief Jones here, so I think I'll give this report. The siren didn't go, so I know he's not busy on a fire, but he doesn't miss many of these. The town of Osoyoos operates a volunteer fire department which consists of 28 paid on-call firefighters. The department responded to 126 calls, 90 for the town of Osoyoos and 36 for rural area A. I am going to read the stats. I'll read them as the category they're in, the town, and then the rural occurrences. Alarm activations, 35 and 3. Ambulance assists, 11 and 4. Complaints of burning, town first, 3, rural, 3. Campfires, 2 for the town, 1 for rural. Motor vehicle incidents, 10 and 11 for the rural. Natural gas leaks, 1, 0 for the rural, and that 1 was the one right down here behind Home Hardware. Quite a spectacular day when they hit that 2-inch line. Grass fires, 3 for the town, 3 rural. Smoke investigations, 5 and 3. Structure fires, 2 and 1. Vehicle fires, 0 for the town, 6 rural. Mutual aid, 1 for the town, 0. Carbon monoxide detectors, alarms, 1 for the town, 0 for rural. Kitchen fires, 2 and 0. Sprinkler activations, 2 and 0. Miscellaneous, 14 and 2. In addition, the town contracts protection service to the Osoyoos Rural Fire Protection District and to the Osoyoos Indian Band. The town continues to maintain the mutual aid agreement with neighboring fire departments to provide assistance to the Osoyoos Fire Department should additional resources be required. In return, the Osoyoos Fire Department supports the neighboring fire departments as needed. In 2010, the town implemented false alarm system regulation bylaw number 1259. The intent of this bylaw was to decrease the number of false alarms responded to by the fire department, thereby ensuring department availability to respond to emergencies. As a step to promote prevention, a fee of $350 will be imposed for the second and any additional false alarms responded to within the same calendar year. Planning continued on the development of the new fire hall, which is proposed to be located on the Richter property. The Fire Department Building Committee developed preliminary floor plans and plot plans to accommodate department facility needs and access. These plans included building, siting, access to fire apparatus, parking, and training grounds. The firemen continued to host their annual fundraisers in 2013, which included the oyster feed and the annual Easter weekend haircuts, the organization of which involves enormous amounts of volunteer time by members and their families to ensure that these events run smoothly. The funds raised were donated to the Children's Burn Unit at VGH, Canadian Cancer Society's Relay for Life, the MS Society, Multiple Sclerosis Society, Ronald McDonald House, Pediatric Unit at the Penticton Regional Hospital, 2 bursaries awarded to graduating students at the Osoyoos Secondary School and the Osoyoos Splash Park. At the end of the day, it is all about doing what we can to help those in need in our community, submitted by the Osoyoos Fire Department and Rick Jones. So again, that's a great report coming forward from the firemen, and we certainly appreciate their services and thank them for all they do in the town of Osoyoos. And as taking that further, as we look at 2014, moving into 2014, we're well on the road to knowing exactly where we are with the fire hall. That's another large step, but it's going to happen very soon. So we go from 20 to 13 to see where they are now, and this is just about to be launched. There's just a few loose ends before we bring that whole program forward to the town of Osoyoos. So it's been a very, very busy and a very active time for both the fire department and that planning committee and our component of that planning committee. Brings us to the next report, Community Development and Tourism Services, presented by CAO Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. The Community Development Department covers 2 municipal functions, economic development and community development. These are the highlights. In 2013, the town of Osoyoos received approximately $285,000 Resort Municipality Initiative funding. The required annual reporting documents were completed to continue accessing this funds, and the Finance Department completed the financial accounting requirements. 2013 Resort Municipality expenditures included the completion of 2 washrooms at 2 public washrooms at Gyro Beach and Goodman Park. Funds were expended at to hire a landscape design consultant that will lead the Gyro Park development. The consultant provided design options and will handle the tendering and project supervision. Economic development. One of the goals of the Town Council in 2013 was to deliver economic development as a joint economic development and tourism development approach. A major step was completing the strategic goal was the development of a service delivery agreement with Destination Osoyoos. Council appointed 3 community members from the Economic Development Advisory Committee to Destination Osoyoos Board in 2013. The service agreement wasn't signed by Destination Osoyoos in 2013, so no economic development services were provided to the town by Destination Osoyoos. And in terms of community development, the community development function is of equal importance, and in 2013 they assisted in development of the volunteer corps to deliver the additional summer music events at Gyro Park.
Thank you. And again, it's interesting when we're doing this because we're looking at the 2013 calendar year, and in 2014 there's already been a lot of steps made following what happened in 2013, such as on economic development. Destination Osoyoos hired a new managing director, and so they're moving forward on that. In council, when we look at our objectives and goals, this is always moving forward, and we're looking at what this new director is going to offer. So we do 1 year, but it moves into the next year and really entails where we're going and what we want to do to get there. So it's interesting to watch them as we take the steps going forward. The next category was council objectives and measures, and I think it's very well, it was said in my opening report truly, that we're interested in providing this governance in a collaborative and an inclusive and a transparent manner, and to make sure that we can be as fiscally responsible as we can, and providing those needs and services. And again, when we look at what's happening in the town, current right now is dog issues, and they're just reoccurring issues. It's almost like that game that you used to play at the Pacific National Exhibition, where you bong those things that pop out of the holes, and you bong it here and it pops up over there, and that seems to be what we're doing with dog issues. And we're working hard. We're bringing in new legislation. We're going to deal with some more right now that's current, but it's a real tough issue, folks, and we will get a handle on it. We have got a handle on many of our other problems to the point that council can be satisfied with where we go. And they're usually people problems and invasive species problems and neighbor problems and dog problems. They're mostly revolve around people. So we'll just keep working that and bringing forth the best legislation and governance that we can. So I think that covers council's objectives on here, although I'm certainly going to allow them to have an opportunity to speak, and that would be right now. So does council have anything they wish to say? Any councilors? Councilor Ryan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not surprised that I would step forward, I'm sure.
I like it.
Thank you. Well, I just wanted to say a few things, because when I saw that, I was rather alarmed, and I thought, well, I better get ready for this. So I'd just like to say that I guess one of my strengths on council is my detail orientation, and so I've certainly been interested in carefully reading our various agreements and leases and agreements and all those kinds of things to protect the town and to minimize our liability, and always to make sure that there is a way out for the people who sign the agreement on both sides. I've also enjoyed proposing topics for our resolutions and participating in resolutions that go forward to some of our senior levels of organization at the UBCM or at our Southern Interior Local Government Association. As far as my responsibilities go, I've been the Destination Osoyoos representative for the town for a number of years, and this has been, of course, a very busy year with the reorganization of Destination Osoyoos because of its return to a dual responsibility. I'm also the alternate to the library board, although Councillor McCordell is doing such a good job that she rarely calls on me. And I've took on at the mayor's request, when we were all asked for our special interests a year ago, or 3 years ago, I guess it was, that I would be interested in affordable housing and pursuing that. So I've become knowledgeable over the past year about that, and now we're coming to a point where there is an active committee that is starting, and we'll be saying more about that in our forthcoming meeting, just following this one. And with Councillor Plante, I've served as a member of the review committee for our community service grants, and that's always been very satisfying, I think, for both of us. And recently spent some time helping the community foundation, South Okanagan-Similkameen Community Foundation, get started with a local group here in Osoyoos, a local Osoyoos advisory committee. One of the things that the council has done, not only this year but throughout the last few years, is to prepare for the future and be forward-looking, and we've done that in several ways. We mentioned today about a sewer capacity study, and council felt very strongly about that and commissioned that, and it's now complete. It gives us an idea of the capacity of our system, how it's working, where there are as we call pinch points, and whether how it is going to serve us as we expand, which we certainly will. This complements an operational study that we did several years ago, and we've also put into place a reserve for policing costs, and again, preparing in all those ways for the future. For me, the past year is simply a mirror of previous years, and that is where council and staff work together with a great deal of mutual respect and cooperation, very much a team approach, responsive to communities' needs and requirements, very adaptable, flexible, and even compassionate in many ways. And what we try to do, I think, is to be solution-oriented and to make our decisions on evidence and on facts, and I think that's a very healthy way, and I think more governments should do that. What I'd just like to say to our listeners and to the people is that to keep informed, sign up for our e-news, watch our deliberations on Channel 18 or on the internet, and continue to step forward and to contribute in whatever way you can to the benefit of our community.
Thanks, Councillor Ryan. Again, you can see it's hard to put it into the year block that our administration is tied to, because it just flows into where we really wanted to go when we got it kicked off. Councillor Rhodes, McCordoff, Plante.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I have a pretty short list. Right at the very top of it, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of the town staff, not just the folks that are sitting here and reporting today, but everybody that works for the town. And, you know, at the end of the day, they all work hard, they're all well motivated, and, you know, it's really such a good feeling to see that kind of collaboration amongst a group of people to make Osoyoos what it really is. So a real personal and heartfelt thank you for everything, and I hope you pass that on to the staff members and that kind of thing. And, you know, this last weekend I had a friend that comes here, and I often get my messages out by telling little stories, so I'm going to bore everybody with this. Came here from the city of Edmonton for a visit, been here a few times before, and during the 3-day visit he golfed 3 times, went to the horse races on Saturday, went out in the lake for a little while on another friend's boat, walked down Main Street, had lunch and dinner, spent some time drinking some wine with a good friend of his that happens to live here, which is myself. And, you know, after, you know, experiencing all of these different things on this weekend when we had less than favorable weather, you often pick up on the comments that people make, whether they're your friends or not. And he said to me in a very, very serious way that Osoyoos may be perhaps one of the most beautiful places that he's ever been in his entire lifetime. And I just, I like to tell that little story because I'd like to comment on what a privilege it is for a person like myself to be able to sit here and be a part of that, a small part of that influence on individuals that come to our community. And, if it was a flippant comment or something like that, you'd think differently about it, but it was not. It was a very sincere comment, and it just made me feel really good, and I wanted to pass that on along with my thank you, because the work that our staff does in this community is a big part of that feeling that you instill in people. So thank you. That's all I wanted to say, and it was just a great weekend, and it was all topped off with that very, very positive comment at the end of the weekend. So thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Rhodes. Councillor McCordoff, please.
Yes, thank you. Well, I certainly can agree with Councillor Rhodes, because I've had friends come here and say, "Oh, aren't you lucky?" And I just say, yes, we are. We live here. We're lucky. We live here. Two of the, one of the committees that I'm quite involved with, and I just wanted to report on this, is the Okanagan Regional Library. And my background in teaching is library science, so I was quite keen to take on this role. I have thoroughly enjoyed being, and I go 4 to 10 times a year up to Kelowna for meetings. One of the very interesting parts of last year was that I was on the personnel committee, and there was about 4 or 5 of us, and we hired a new executive director in Kelowna that covers the whole in Okanagan Regional Library. She's doing an excellent job, so it was the most interesting process for me to go through, and I certainly think we've hired the right person. Two of the things that I specifically decided to pursue when I became a town councillor were the moving of the weather station and outdoor fitness equipment. And I would just like to report that I have not forgotten about either one of those. And I chat often with Director Doucette about the possibility of moving the weather equipment, and I know that there are sort of 4 areas that we could consider looking at. One was the Desert Center, but I don't think they have any electricity, so maybe that is not a good one. There's also the golf course. There's the airport area, which is still under sort of some construction and various ideas about what's going in there, and also the Public Works area. So believe me, I haven't forgotten about it. I will continue to keep that on the agenda. And the other one was outdoor fitness, and I've talked to Director Davis about this too, and he's on the same page as I am. We would really like to have some outdoor fitness centers in various parks, but we're still going through the process of trying to figure out what's going to go into to Gyro Park, and so we can't jump the gun and put those in there. Believe me, they're both in the 5-year plan. And I have certainly enjoyed being on council for the last 3 years. I'm hoping to continue, of course, and I just want to say thank you to everybody, all the directors and staff and council, because it's a most interesting and worthwhile experience.
Thank you, Councillor McCordoff, and I think that was a very, very cute way of serving notice. This is certainly under the category of pre-budget. Thanks for that report. Councillor Plot, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to say many of the same things. I just want to again thank all of our directors for being here today, and also the work that we've done over 2013. A special thanks to Gerald Davies, who I've worked with on the Splash Park. I really appreciate all the effort and time that he's put in to make that happen, as well as our committee. as you can see, when we did our grand opening, it's a really appreciated amenity to the town. And again, I'd like to also thank, I'm looking at Ron Doucette as well, and the guys from Public Works and all the work that they did to really get that thing going. So again, we'll probably go through the whole list of all the people that have helped out, but those two gentlemen have been instrumental in getting that started, so thank you both. As far as the other thing that I want to say is thank you to our council. It's been a year of many different issues that have come up and different concerns from our citizens, and one thing I always appreciate is healthy debate, and we've had that. And we all come with different strengths. We've all have different backgrounds, and I think it's really done us well in different situations where we can talk through healthy debate, come up with what we believe is the appropriate answer that really helps out our community. So those are things that I'm very proud of in 2013, and moving forward, just look forward to staying committed to the committees that I'm currently on and have been on, and always open to again hearing from the people of our community about their concerns, and also what I'm doing as far as those committees and where we're going as moving forward. So please contact anytime. My number and such is on our website, so feel free to call anytime. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Councillor Plant. Quite an interesting group of comments from 4 councillors that originally weren't going to say anything today.
Michael started.
Okay. So thanks for that. Just following along with that, it is indeed my privilege, and I'm very honored to be sitting in this chair. It's wonderful to work with the whole team, and that includes the councillors. It certainly includes administration. It certainly includes the guys outside that are working in the sun today. I see some sun out there, so it's the whole staff. It's a team. It's a big team. We pull together very well, and it really revolves around respect. And as long as we can keep that respect foremost and in the forefront, we're going to continue providing these good services to the town. And I think everyone here, as you can see, really likes what they're doing and appreciates what they're doing. So we're just going to keep on providing the best that we can in the most fiscally responsible manner. So having said in the most fiscally responsible manner, we are moving to the public part of the meeting, and I see Mr. Marcelli is here, and he will have his question. So you can come up as I'm still talking, Mr. Marcelli, and we just get you to say your name and address once, but I'm not turning it over to you just yet. We're 10 minutes past 2, so our 2 o'clock meeting is obviously running late. So we will go through this meeting and do the public component now, and then the regular meeting of the Osoyoos Town Council will take place when we're finished here. So, Mr. Marcelli, with your address, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, councillors. My name is Cy Marcelli, 8301 Quince Lane, Osoyoos. And greetings from the council watchdog.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Mayor, councillor, there is no transparency. You gave it on your report. Mr. Romanko gave on his report. There is no transparency. The reason I'm saying it, I did ask in my letter just a while ago to try to get Town of Osoyoos year-to-date paid report, which is here on number 47, page 47, annual report. It's only one page, and there is incorrect information and numbers there. After verifying from other sources, when I'm calling saying other sources, it's GL5470, which, Mr. Mayor, cost me $6.81, and that's where information's coming, and I will be comparing. On year-to-date paid report, supposed to be about 12 pages. Always I get it. This year I didn't get it. And that is on purposely. There is no transparency because no information. Just Destination Osoyoos was reported $25,500 and few dollars that we paid them. This is incorrect. It should be $100,193 even, which is $74,671.50. It's annual we are giving to them. Every year over 100,000. So it's not only 25,000. So that's a not a discrepancy. Plus, Mr. Mayor and councillors, we gave them $302,761.65. That's 2% of hotel tax.
Yes, Mr. Maselli,
Yeah,
they receive, that's the government.
Yeah.
That's the
Just
provincial government.
for the public information,
Right, yep.
Mr. Mayor.
Well, they collect the tax,
Yeah.
Mr. Maselli, and they spend the tax.
Mr. Mayor, I disagree respectfully because we collect the tax from provincial government. They send it to
Mr.
town.
Maselli, they collect it from the people that stay in their rooms. That's the 2% tax. And actually, the operators of the motels have the opportunity to either collect the tax or not collect the tax. There's many communities that don't collect the tax. I feel sorry for them. Our group of operators here that operate the motels in this town vote every 5 years whether they would like to or not. And they have done it twice now where they voted yes to collect the tax. They collect it, and the provincial government deems that it should go back to the operators, and it's spent for marketing to increase the tourist visitors to Osoyoos. And I commend them for that.
Absolutely.
And I commend the town for taking that position.
Just for the record, for the public record as well, motel hotel owners collect tax on behalf of provincial government. They send to Victoria. Victoria sent to town of Osoyoos. Town of Osoyoos gives to them, which nothing wrong with that.
That's right. That's the process.
No. Speaking about Destination Osoyoos, I would like to commend them as well, Town of Osoyoos Times, for partnering and producing excellent visitor's guide.
Yeah, wasn't that a bonus?
Absolutely. I commend them. And you, Mr. Mayor, everybody is surprised from council that I am being positive towards Osoyoos, Destination Osoyoos.
Thank you.
So now, the thing is most important, that money, Mr. Mayor, stays in our community, stays with Osoyoos Times, which creates employment, and it's not a minimum wage, highly paid. That's why kudos to them, both Osoyoos Times and Destination Osoyoos.
And with our new manager there, we're going to see some great results coming forward from Destination Osoyoos through the economic development component. And this council waited quite a while for that all to come together with our economic development appointees being a part of the board of Destination Osoyoos and waiting for the new hire to go through the processes. And that took quite a while, Mr. Maselli. But we're real happy and we're poised, and you're going to see some great action out there.
Further, Mr. Mayor and councillors, on the bottom of the page, we paid, it was reported that Town of Osoyoos paid White Kennedy, charter accountant, $27,195. This is incorrect. We paid $25,988.77. Total expenditure suppliers, we paid, according to page 47, year-to-date paid report, $11,530,748 and few cents. Actually, it was 11,489,767.92. Now, Mr. Mayor and councillors, most important, on a page number 3 of financial statements of Corporation of Town of Osoyoos, under the consolidated statements of operations for December 31st, 2013. Under the revenue, it was reported that town collected it was reported that was $10,129,504. Actually, according to GL 5470, it was revenue we came about $12,014,633. Under expenses, Mr. Mayor and councillors, it was reported that we spent $8,322,481, which is not true. Actually, we spent, as I said, it was over $1 million as expenses. So, under the expenses, general government services, and there is a little bit debatable, but because I didn't have that proper year-to-date report. Now, going under the water services, Mr. Mayor, it was reported that we paid, that actually town spent $1,585,843. On June 2nd of this year, you, Mr. Mayor and Council, adopted Statement of Financial Income and Expenditure Statements for period of March 31st, 2014, and actual it shows for 2013. So that's why I'm coming. We spent $1 million for water services for 2013, $1,979,585.01, and this is a difference $393,733. For sewer services, it was reported that town spent $1,472,097. This amount is correct. It's about, we spent 32 extra cents, that's no problem. That's correct. So water should be as well correct, but it's not. Now, for protective services, it was reported amount of $665,689. Actual cost for 2013, Mr. Mayor, was $626,632.51. The difference is $39,057.51.
Was that in our favor or not? Was the $39,000 in our favor or not?
No, Mr. Mayor, it's not on the town's favor. Because now you are reporting in your final, in this case not you, Mr. Mayor, accountant and Mr. Zakall, because he is the one who is preparing the books, he is the one, and Mr. Romanko, they are in charge.
Okay.
Now, under environment, it was a reported amount of $588,891. Actual cost was for 2013 only $523,710.37, $65,000, $181.37 discrepancy.
So Mr. Marcelli,
Mr. Mayor, I have a floor respectfully. I would like, because you told me a few minutes, I would like to finish it on behalf of taxpayers
Okay,
And I'm
so
here
could
not
I
as an
ask you,
individual.
Could you give me an estimate of the time frame, please? Because if it's really hard for us and the people at home to really get a handle on what you're saying, standing there reading numbers, and we've got the gist of what you're saying, that you believe that there's some errors there. So if you could sit down with either Mr. Zakall, or maybe you could engage White Kennedy and go through what you think is right or wrong. But we have both people with accounting and a chartered accounting firm of White Kennedy bringing these numbers forward. And I'm certainly not refuting your skills whatsoever, but we believe that we're right and you believe we're wrong. So you're going to have to make a presentation somewhere, but the presentation isn't here today because I really don't understand what you're saying, Mr. Maselli. And I'm trying hard, but really with the numbers and that, I'm having a hard time. So we need a different program here. If you wish to refute those numbers, that is entirely your right. But I can't follow this.
Mr. Mayor, this is a public record.
Okay.
$563,367 is the discrepancy. Where is the money? Where did it go? Now, I'm not suggesting it disappeared. I'm not suggesting. Because I would like to know, and I have a right to know, plus taxpayers have the right to know.
Right. So you don't expect to get the answer today, I hope?
No, I don't. I mean, this is you gave us a report, Mr. Mayor, and councillors and directors, and this is, I'm just questioning, and we need answers.
Could you give me an estimate of the time to complete your presentation? Please.
Well, Mr. Mayor.
Why don't you sum it up?
Last year, I was kicked out from the microphone, from the podium.
I don't think I kicked you out last week.
Well, yeah, I don't. But anyway, the thing is, when I'm challenging now, most important, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Romanko is misleading this council, misleading taxpayers regarding the true consulting. We paid, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Maselli, may I say something, please?
Okay, give me 5 minutes.
Okay, you may, but
Yep.
may I say something first?
Yep.
Please be careful of your choice of words. Okay? Please be careful of your choice of words. This is an open public meeting, and I just want you not to get into any trouble or into a legal situation. You can certainly say what you wish to say, but you know, I don't want to use the word slander, but you have to be careful, please, and just choose your words wisely, please, and continue your presentation.
Still, I do stand with my wordings, Mr. Mayor. Particularly, I would like to remind this council, I published a letter to Osoyoos Times. There are the facts. We never got answers. We were waiting for it. Why was not reported? Why didn't you answer? Or Mr. Romanko?
I will answer that right
Yep.
now, Mr. Maselli.
Well-
No, you asked me the question. I will answer this. I do not do debate in the Osoyoos Times. If you wish, there's been many letters written in the Osoyoos Times about Councillor Wells and Mayor Wells. I have not responded to one letter in 9 years, and I don't intend to start now. That is why you did not get a response. It's like a tennis match, and it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That's not the way I intend to be the mayor of this community.
Further, Mr. Mayor, regarding the True Consulting, which is our contractor for engineering,
Yes.
that's why I'm saying misleading, because we do not need engineering department. We have a planning department. What we need is qualified civil engineer who can look after our assets, who can look after the what's called transport.
All of our infrastructure.
Yeah, that's right, infrastructure. Now the thing is, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Romanko's quoted 385,000 plus. Well, what we need is, how can we compare that with $1 million less than $1 million a year? Now, for the record, I'm quoting, paraphrasing from last budget. That was the Director of Development Services, Mr. Cunningham. He quoted nicely, he said that True Consulting is giving away our contracts, tenders, plus he is looking after blueprints and other stuff, which every civil engineer who has knowledge, they can do that. So there is no excuse to have over $1 million. That's why we are a little town. Now, Mr. Mayor, we are only $11 million we spent this year, last year. From that money, speaking about, we paid $412,000 to True Consultant. Now, Capital Roads, I found, we spent $700,359.84. Sewer and water together, $3,451,678.32. Now it's over total $4 million. And then on this $4 million included 30% of engineering and contingencies. Now, contingencies we never recover. That's lost. That's 30% we are paying out. So, if you calculate 30% of 4 million, that's why I debate amount what was reported to True Consulting. I have to see to believe it, Mr. Mayor. And lastly, under the schedule of showing remuneration, on page 46, these amounts are, in my view, because I'm comparing from last year, should be certain directors over 100,000 because just they got pay raise, Mr. Mayor. Last year, which I have here for for 2012, 2011, 2010, information for enumeration for council, for city employees. So there is not enough. I say not enough because, in my view, there is people paid over 100,000.
I believe that's, hopefully you're not putting council in that category.
No, Mr. Mayor.
My $22,000 a year is, doesn't go very far.
No. Mr. Mayor, 100,000 was for council and 24,000 for expenses for everybody. For water council, water councilors, they should get pay increase. I agree. They don't spend money. They have zero expenses.
Well, Councillor Moreira's got a big smile.
Mr. Mayor, I had to bring laughter a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, so, which is true. They
Yes,
they
we all
deserve
do. We all do.
So anyway, that's all about Mr. Mayor.
I believe, Mr. Misali, if people are making over $100,000, I think that has to be, that's a public report.
75 over, yeah. 75 over.
Oh, 75, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, on page 47, all employees that have made over 75,000 are listed, and that's a statutory requirement. So that's what we've done.
Okay.
So anyway, Mr. Mayor and councillors, thank you for half time now, and thank you for allowing me. This needs to be, I don't want to sit down with auditors. I don't want to waste taxpayers' money because it will cost. Mm-hmm. What I want is all the details, all the paperwork. To be honest, this is not right.
Okay. Mr. Misali, I'll make you a deal. Those 12 pages that you want, if you give me the pages, I'll pay the 50 cents a page and give you a copy of them. You give me a request, and I'll do that.
Mr. Mayor, paying the page is 50 cents. It's under the Canadian Constitution, it's illegal. Because giving to taxpayers 50 cents per page, you are not providing service. You as a corporation providing service to taxpayers, if we hire backhoe, if we hire something else, or somebody else comes and fixes it, that is service, but not under the URIC versus Ontario and versus rest of the provinces. Further, Mr. Mayor, just lately you said $35 was we supposed to buy some information. That's illegal. That's a tax. Under our constitution, municipality, province cannot charge, only federal government.
Okay.
So further, now, one more I would like to ask, it's not on the agenda, just a simple question, Mr. Mayor. Can you allow me less than a minute? I want to bring why we don't have a public hearing regarding Wish property. Not public meeting, public hearing. The difference is, Mr. Mayor, that all the numbers, all the deals comes out. Now they can promise us mountains. Council will pass it, maybe a future council. But we, the taxpayers, have to know what's going on, because it's very crucial for our community, that Wish property. If you let them out, let's say if the ALR lets, not town, this time only letter, but we don't have enough information. New information is coming. We don't know about that.
Mr. Maselli, that was dealt with by council. It's not a part of the 2013 annual report.
That's right.
And,
Yep,
and
I agree.
I'm giving you some pretty good leeway here to ask that question. It was 7 months ago. There was the public input, and nothing has changed since then. So actually, we asked council to look at their decision when they looked at it, to relook at what came through on the public hearing. If we wouldn't be going anywhere if we had public hearings in less than a year window. So, and all we did, Mr. Maselli, was deal with a letter of support. That's it. If it comes back positive, who knows what the Land Commission will do? They can rule in favor of it, in which case we would start a process that will have all the public consultation you want, and we will talk about everything in the planning development stage. And before there's any permits, I guarantee you there will be all the public meetings that you will require. That's me to you.
I take it to your words, man. Yep.
Okay.
Now, are those people who did oppose their signatures and their letters, is it going to be included with your council letter to ALR commissioner? That's most important. Because this was a new public meeting, new public hearing.
Well, they'll certainly have it at the Land Commission, whether it's new or not. They go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, and those are letters of record.
So the town will send it to them with a letter?
I don't know that, Mr. Maselli. I can find out and get back to you.
Otherwise, we are in dark.
Well, again, Mr. Maselli, it was, we have to take this in the steps that were outlined. And the step was the town in favor? So the first time we came around, there was some questions, and there was some council did not believe that there was enough amenities there for the town. So they said, okay, fine, we will come back and talk some more, which they did. So they came back, and council looked at the new presentation of amenities and the land swap up on the Richter Pass. the swapping of properties and all that. And we thought that there was enough there to say, yes, we were interested in this going forward. Okay, that if whatever the Land Commission decision was, that we would accept that, and if it was yes, we were prepared to deal with it. If that happens, and it's a big if, it's a real big if, we will get into the public consultation process. And to be fair to the folks waiting for the next meeting, you and I should have,
Yep.
if you wish to extend it, let's you and I have
No,
the
I
discussion.
finished.
Okay?
I appreciate.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank
Have a
you,
good
Mr.
afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Maselli, and thanks for your presentation. Mr. Zakall, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. I'd just like to, for public record as well, ensure that the public is aware year-to-date paid by supplier accounts is the year-to-date paid accounts that were paid in 2013, number one. The second thing, statement of consolidated revenues and expenditures. We follow public sector accounting board rules and regulations with respect to this. All accounts were accounted for under the PSAB rules, verified through our auditors. If Mr. Maselli wishes to come into my office and sit with me, I am more than willing to go over this, to explain to him how the financial reporting works with respect to this. I have no problem whatsoever.
Okay, great. Thanks for that offer, Mr. Zakall. Mr. Maselli, you heard that offer?
I just have one question. That's all.
Well, we're heading for adjournment. Yeah, please deal with him on the side. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. So that is the annual report for the town of Osoyoos. Does it have to be adopted, Ms. Van Vianen, or is this just the presentation and we're heading for adjournment?
You can receive the report, but I don't know if there's anybody else that wishes to speak to it.
Okay. Okay, I will ask that and a motion to receive. Is there any further questions from the public? Going twice, third time, any further input into the annual general meeting? Motion to receive, Rhodes McCordoff, all in favor. We have received the report. Motion to adjourn, Ryan Plant, all in favor. Meeting is adjourned. 5-minute recess, please. And then we'll start the regular meeting of June.